and this video will cover the mechanics of the Hurst method menu item. And the first thing you want to do if you haven't done it for this ticket yet is to do a Fourier analysis. Just click Fourier analysis and the digital bandpass window comes up. Go to your data and you get a digital bandpass filter. For the data, I suggest you download 5 years of Yahoo data, daily data, or if you have another source and you can get longer, do that. And the top window is simply the USO. This is the oil ETF line chart, and the bottom window is the digital bandpass filter, and this was derived from, it's a legitimate full-blown Fourier analysis. And what you do in very non-technical terms, I look for the bumps, and you can read the cursor position down here, and you have also the horizontal axis are the cycle periods. But if you place the cursor on a bump, you can see that we get a cycle at 32, we get a cycle at about 120, and we get a cycle at about 63 or 64. If you hold down the left mouse button and highlight an area, it will expand it, and you get a better opportunity to zone in on the cyclical periods. So if we use 64 and 120 or 32, we'll be in pretty good shape with the USO. Okay, just close the window when you're done. I've loaded the USO daily data in here. So you go to the Hurst method, displace moving average, and the Hurst period dialog box is divided into decades, 10, 20, 30, 40 on the left, and digits on the right. And we wanted to use a 64 period. So 60 is the decade, 4 is the digit. That gives us a period of 64. Click OK, and it plots them on the chart. The other projections on here are, if you wanted to say do a blue projection, you'd click around the high, and then you'd look down for an intersection of the blue and one of the other moving averages, blue and red, blue or green, will kind of pick the middle, and you just click, and that'll give you a projected price based on these inputs. The green projection works exactly the same way. You click on the most recent high, follow the green down until it intersects with the red, and on this case we can see that it intersected with the red at around 38, and it intersected with the red again around 36. When you have multiple intersections visible on the chart, just kind of pick a midpoint, and I think that'll be where the blue crosses them both, and click on that, and you get about the same projection. Okay, let's clean those up. The third method is the time price projection. This is a 3-click method, and what you want to do is we'll use the blue. I always try and use the longest moving average, in this case the blue, where it intersects with the green, and you click on the most recent projected intersection, and then follow the blue back until it intersects with the green earlier in time, the first prior intersection. Click on that, and then click on the intervening high or low, and that gives you a price, or a price, date, and time projection off into the future. And let's remove all of these. We'll clean up and restore the price axis. And you do this for different periods. Just go back, what did we say, 64 and 120. So we'll do 120 period. And go through the same process. I just go right to the time price projection usually. And we have an intersection here. Follow it back to the last. Click the intervening high or low. And we get a price, date, and time projection. You'll notice that this blue line, there's a little space between the blue lines, a little space between the green lines, and a little space between the red lines. And what those signify is that the space is where the actual data ends and the projection begins. And it just makes a linear projection from the last two data points. So the projections can change fairly quickly because you only need two data points to make a projection. But it makes it a lot easier than eyeballing it. And it also necessitates that you don't take any price, date, and time projection as pure gospel. You want to follow up, use a couple different time periods, and see how prices are moving into that date and time to see how they react. And you can clean up the DMAs under all annotations, or you can do clean up just the Hurst DMA, restore the price axis, and move on to something else. Just a general recommendation, when you're going to do the Hurst averages, I suggest that you use the longest data files, not only for the Fourier analysis, but also for the Hurst Displace averages, because mathematically it can take twice the period of a moving average to really smooth out the oscillations just from the calculation of doing the moving average. So getting 5-year Yahoo data for daily use is really not a bad idea for anything. Okay, that's how you use the Hurst method. It's pretty simple, it's pretty effective, and it's worth spending some time with.